Hi everybody, welcome back to my little YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, my name's Amanda. I'm a diagnosed autistic adult. I'm 41 years old. I was diagnosed with autism a few years ago. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the signs and symptoms of autism. I know I've talked so much in the past about the signs and symptoms of autism, but I've not made any videos for a while. So we're starting from scratch on this channel. I've just done a video about what to expect during the autism assessment. I might have released that before this, or it might be coming after this. But if you don't know what autism is a neurodevelopmental condition. It's a genetic condition. That means that we're born with it. We have it our entire existence. It encompasses our entire lives, and it really does affect the way we see the world, the way we hear the world, taste the world, interpret the world, and communicate with other people. And just in general, understanding other people around us can be incredibly challenging for us as autistic people. And so you'll often hear autistic people telling you that we feel like aliens that have just been plonked on planet Earth with no instructions, and nobody's told us what to do. And that just is our way of describing how we feel. You'll hear so many millions of us, and you'll hear that on Google and YouTube videos, that we feel like aliens. It literally is because we feel like a different species among the human race. It's like everybody fits in, and autistic people, we feel like we don't, like there's something missing, like that little piece of a jigsaw that just doesn't quite fit. So that is autism in a nutshell. And now I'm going to talk about some of the common signs and symptoms of autism. First signs of autism is just a general difficulty with understanding other people, and that's other people in general, and it's the verbal communication side of it, the non-verbal communication side of it, understanding questions that people are asking of us and then having to formulate a response back. And the world can feel as a result incredibly confusing to us. And it's not just the verbal communication side of it that we struggle with, it's the non-verbal as well. The eye contact that autistic people find incredibly stressful, which I'll get into later on in this video. It's the body language, the way what we do with our body and where we point our bodies when we're speaking to somebody. It's all the social nuances, the jokes and the sarcasm that autistic people, we just generally don't get. We don't understand. If somebody's flirting with us, for example, we might not necessarily understand that as flirting, and so there can be these great big breakdowns in communication between an autistic person and a non-autistic person, and it can lead to a lot of upset, embarrassment and discouragement from even communicating with other people in future. Another sign of autism is this difficulty in us being able to make friends with other people. It's not that we don't want to make friends with people, or to be involved or included with people, or go to parties and minglings and social gatherings, or have relationships with others. It's just that it's really difficult for us when we try, and that's coming back to the social and communication side of it, not to mention the anxiety. Autistic people, we can often sometimes get too close into somebody's personal space, and we can sort of invade personal boundaries when we don't realise that that's socially unacceptable, or we can just not like for other people to get too close in our personal space. So when people hug us and kiss us, it can make us feel quite uncomfortable, and we can come across as being quite aloof or cold or unempathetic, unempathic or non-emotional, and that can sort of isolate us from other people in general. And just understanding what to say in conversation, what to talk about. A lot of the time, autistic people, we can struggle to know when to interrupt conversations, and that I can find really challenging. And so I can interrupt, say for example, my dad when he's talking to me, and I know it annoys him, but he forgives me because I'm autistic. But you see, if that was a total stranger interrupting somebody while they're in the midst of conversation, can be quite off-putting to that person. And not only that, we can have real special interests that sometimes we can go on and on and on about for long periods of time. And again, if you're with a friend or family member that doesn't understand you've got autism, and you're continuously repetitively talking about a specific subject, it can be quite off-putting. Another sign of autism is that we can come across as being quite blunt or rude when we're talking to somebody, and we don't mean to. It's because we're quite literal thinkers. So because we think literally, we tend to give literal responses back. But one example I'm going to tell you about that is if somebody asks me a personal question, they might ask me if their bum looks big in a dress, or whether the makeup looks nice, or the hair looks nice, or whatever the question might be. And if I truly believe that the bum does look big in the dress or the makeup's hideous, I will tell them outright that I don't like it, or yes, your bum does look big. It doesn't mean to say that I mean that in a nasty way, although it can come across to other people that that's quite nasty and unempathic thing to say, coming back to the communication side of it and how we can come across as being aloof and unempathic. It's just that I'm a very literal thinker, so I tend to think much differently to neurotypical people, and lying and telling little white lies can be really difficult for autistic people. And so you can just imagine in a social situation, telling somebody that their bum looks big in a dress is not acceptable. Another sign of autism is having this need, this desire, this absolute need for routine and rituals. A lot of the time, autistic people's lives are governed by routine and ritual. It's something that I have to have in my life every specific day of my life. From the moment I get up in the morning to the moment I go to bed at night, I have to have routine and ritual. Everything has to be pre-planned. Change and uncertainty and unpredictability are three words that autistic people absolutely hate. Another sign of autism is a difficulty in expressing to other people how we're thinking or feeling. And that's not because we don't think or feel. We do often. It's a misconception, it's a common misconception that autistic people, we don't feel emotion or we don't feel empathy, and that's really untrue. We do feel it. And in fact, I would actually go as far as to say I probably feel happiness and sadness much more than somebody that doesn't have autism. So I probably have that empathy level that's greater than somebody that doesn't have autism. So I do feel those feelings, and we do in general tend to feel those feelings. It's just that we can't seem to identify with that emotion. This is sadness, this is happiness, this is anger, this is frustration, and we can't seem to identify that that's the emotion we're feeling in order to say to somebody, I feel sad, or I feel angry, or I feel unhappy. Sometimes we can, but it might take us a few hours or a few days to process that emotion in order to explain it to somebody else, and that can be really frustrating for somebody, because people can say, but you didn't tell me there and then why you felt that way. And that's because we can have that delay, that processing delay, that delay in our ability to pick up on how we feel. Our minds think much differently to non-autistic people. So we do feel empathy, but being able to identify with those feelings and express them to other people can be really challenging. Another sign of autism is avoiding eye contact, or you might know autistic people, and I do it myself, that make eye contact, but eye contact can be one of those things that's incredibly anxiety provoking to us as autistic people. When somebody is looking me in the eyes, it feels like you're staring into my soul and you're reading my inner thoughts and feelings. I know that sounds really bizarre, it sounds really weird, but that is how it feels to me. It feels like it's so personal that eye contact should only be made for those people that you truly love and trust. And it can be extremely anxiety provoking having to make direct eye contact with people, especially strangers, especially in social gatherings. Add on to that the anxiety that we're feeling and the social communication barriers and the emotional issues that we often struggle with. Adding on to that, having to make eye contact with someone can be incredibly draining. And then another sign of autism is a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us don't like direct contact, touchy-feely people that come up to us and touch us and hug us and kiss us and just want to squeeze us. And that hugging and squeezing can feel quite painful. That's the word that I would describe it as, quite physically painful to us, especially when a lot of us have quite hypersensitivity issues. A lot of our we have allodynias and things like that, high pain levels in our skin, for example. And so when people squeeze us and touch us and hug us, it can sometimes feel incredibly painful and just absolutely overbearing and just too much. And then another sign of autism is having intense, passionate special interests. And this can be one special interest, or it can be two, or lots of different special interests. Sometimes people can have one special interest that they have their entire life. Sometimes it can flip from special interest to special interests. Some special interests are positive, because if we go in a career pathway, for example, when I went to medical school, I used to love biology and chemistry, and I studied all my medical stuff, and it got me into medical school. Unfortunately, some special interests can get us into trouble, so it's always important to talk to the autistic loved one and just advise and explain to them that sometimes talking about special interests to other people that don't understand you're autistic isn't appropriate. And then the last thing I want to discuss is about autism in women. Autistic masking is otherwise known as autistic camouflaging, and that's blending into our surroundings. That's faking it till you make it. That's probably what you've heard it as in the past, fake it till you make it. It's where we purposefully and intentionally change our persona, change our voice, change our hair, change our makeup, our personality, our dress sense, in order to maybe copy somebody else. I call it copy and paste, in order to fit in. We look at somebody and we think they're popular, so if I copy them exactly like they are, I'm going to be popular too. And that's what a lot of autistic females tend to do. We copy and paste other people in the aim of being popular and fitting in with others. That's not because we want to be popular, it's because we want to fit in and be accepted by the social non-autistic group, the non-autistic setting. And we want to just get through life like everybody else that doesn't have autism. And so we mask and we camouflage and we fake our way through life. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little video. If you have, please consider hitting like, commenting and subscribing, and I shall see you next time in my next vlog. Bye!